Hello, my name is Danita Campbell Haywood, and today I'm going to give you an informative speech on crime victims' rights. Over 10 years ago, a 15-year-old Mary Vincent became the surviving victim of one of the most gruesome crimes in the 20th century. Vincent, who had been hitchhiking on a trip to her grandfather's house in Corona, California, was attacked and raped by a man named Larry Singleton. He was a normal-looking 51-year-old male who offered her a ride. In an act of sadistic violation, Singleton hacked off Vincent's forearms and left her for dead on a hillside. She survived and was found the next morning wandering near a road, holding the stubs of her arms in the air to prevent blood loss. Victim advocates argued for a lengthy prison term for Vincent's attacker. Singleton, who was not repentant at all, was paroled after serving only 8 years in prison. He took up residence in Florida, and Vincent lived in constant fear that he would attack her again. Vincent's concern finally ended in 1997 when Singleton was arrested again and charged with murder of a 31-year-old Roxanne Hayes, a supposedly prostitute. A year later, he was convicted of first-degree murder. Singleton died of cancer in 2001 while on death row in Florida Union Correctional Institute. Today, recovered Vincent leads a full and active life in Pacific Northwest. What is a victim? A victim is someone who suffers direct or threatened physical, emotional, or financial harm as a result of the commission of a crime. The term victim also includes immediate family of a minor or homicide victim. 30 years ago, victims had very few legal rights to be informed, present, or heard within the criminal justice system. Victims did not have to be notified of court proceedings or the arrest or the release of the defendant. They had no right to attend the trial of other proceedings. They had no right to make a statement to the court at the sentencing or at any other hearing. Victim assistance programs were basically unheard of. The basic rights of the victims of crimes are the following: the right to attend criminal justice proceedings, the right to apply for compensation, the right to be heard and participate in criminal justice proceedings, the right to be informed of proceedings and events in the criminal justice process, of legal rights and remedies and available services, the right to protection from intimidation and harassment, the right to restitution from the offender, the right to prompt return of personal property seized as evidence, the right to a speedy trial, the right to enforce these rights. In addition to statutory victim rights, nearly two-thirds of states have adopted amendments to their constitution, guaranteeing rights of victims of crime. Rights guaranteed by a constitution are stronger than rights that are set out only in statutes. No state law is valid if it violates the state's constitution. No state law or state constitutional provision and no federal law can violate a provision of the United States Constitution. Ordinary statutes can be changed at any time by the legislature. By giving victims of crime additional constitutional rights, that makes these rights they can be enforced. The first state to adopt a constitutional amendment providing rights to crime victims was California in 1982. The Victims' Bill of Rights Amendment provided California victims a right to restitution from the offenders, and since then, 32 other states have incorporated crime victim rights in their constitution. The scope of victim rights may vary from state to state. Many are limited to victims of felonies or victims of violent offenses. A few are extended to victims of juvenile offenders. In general, the constitutional amendments give victims following rights: the rights to be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect, to be informed of proceedings such as the release of the defendant, attend the proceedings and the trial, to be heard at critical points such as sentencing or parole or escapes. Who may exercise victims' rights? Exactly who the law considers a victim. Many laws extend victims' rights to surviving family members of a homicide victim or parent, guardian, or other relatives of a minor, disabled, or incompetent victim. Along with general rights for crime victims, many jurisdictions have created special rights for certain groups of crime victims with unique needs. These include victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, or stalking, or victims who are elderly, young children, or victims with disabilities. According to a 2-year National Institute of Justice study, personal crimes result in costs of about $150 billion annually for medical expenses, loss of earnings, public victims assistance programs. These expenses may include out-of-pocket expenses, such as for medical bills, property replacement, reduced productivity at work, home, or even at school. Non-monetary losses such as fear, pain, and suffering, and reduced quality of life. Tangible losses do not represent the true cost of victimization. Intangible losses place the annual cost of crime at an estimated $450 billion. Violent crimes, including drunken driving, accounts for $426 billion of this total. Property crimes expense totals $24 billion annually. These estimates include several other crimes, such as white-collar crimes, personal fraud, drug crime. The cost of crime victimization far greater when it is an impact on society is considered. The cost includes money spent by the criminal justice system to find, prosecute, and confine offenders, social costs associated with fear of crime, mental health costs associated with healing the victims, private security expenditures by the general population that are concerned about these types of crimes, monies to train temporary or new employees, the loss of productivity by employers, insurance claim processing, workers' compensation with disability payment to victims that were victimized on their jobs, legal expenses. Who pays these bills? Victims and their families pay for some of these crimes, while the public largely pays the bill for others. Insurers pay $45 billion in crime-related claims. The government pays $8 billion annually for restorative and emergency services to the victims, plus about 1/4 of the $11 billion in health insurance claims payments. Taxpayers pay $9 billion of this $19 billion in tangible non-service costs of larceny, burglary, motor vehicle theft, and employers pay almost $5 billion primarily in health insurance bills. Thank you for your time, and this concludes my informative speech. Thank you.